This man can make $1 billion every time he drills a hole. Because he is a legend in the oil stealing world. With his skills, he can easily steal billions of dollars worth of oil from the pipeline. However, drilling oil pipes is an extremely dangerous job, and a small mistake can lead to an explosion. But Paul, as a legend, has never failed. So even if Paul's appearance fee is high, oil thieves will not hesitate to hire him at a high price. Paul took off his suit, took out a special drill, and turned on the timer. He then extended the drill to the pipeline. During this period, he continuously injected coolant into the hole. However, the pipe had not yet been drilled through, and Paul called it a day. The boss was very dissatisfied when he saw this. He questioned Paul. Paul didn't explain, but calmly installed the pressure gauge, took the money and left. At this time, the countdown ended. The pressure in the pipeline broke the hole, and oil gushed out of the pipeline. The boss looked at the oil that kept gushing out and admired Paul. Then, the boss introduced Paul to a big business deal. The employer is oil tycoon Richard. Richard's goal was to steal $30 billion worth of oil. After hearing this, Paul said that the pressure in the pipeline would be greatly reduced, and it would be easy to be discovered. And storage was also a big problem. Richard pointed to the abandoned water plant in the distance and told him not to worry. Paul knew the risks of this task, so he asked for $5 billion. Richard agreed decisively and arranged for others to assist Paul. Paul took out the map to determine the direction, and then began to dig the tunnel. But not long after digging, a stone blocked the way, so Paul decided to use a pickaxe to cut through the stone. But the huge noise attracted the police, so the two disguised themselves as workers repairing the sewer and successfully deceived the police. As they continued to dig, they arrived at their destination. First, Paul asked Big Beauty to send a false signal to the oil company. Then, Curly Brother welded the valve to the pipeline. Finally, Paul took out the drill, turned on the timer, and started drilling. But this time he made a mistake. At the last moment, he penetrated the oil pipeline. The steam inside blew him away. Fortunately, Curly Brother closed the valve in time and no disaster occurred. Paul was injured and could not drill a second hole. He had to let Curly Brother go into battle. Paul used a stethoscope to direct him. The two cooperated very well. Pull out the drill bit and close the valve. The moment the gasoline passed, the inner wall just broke. Richard came to the water tower and Paul opened the valve. He stretched out his finger, took a little and put it in his mouth, and smiled with satisfaction. At this time, Paul closed the valve and asked Richard to pay the commission. Richard agreed on the surface, but actually brought his men to kill them.